each works according to his own manners or disposition. But your Lord is most knowing of who is best guided. This expression, Shakila, here, people act according to the way that they were trained, the way that they were cultured, in what neighborhood or what environment they were raised in. You know, in academic circles, you know, when people begin writing papers, when the students write papers, now they have not just a thesis statement, but they also now, they're asked to write positionality statements. Positionality statements determines and dictates in many ways what informs your thinking. And it exposes your biases. It exposes your prejudice. It exposes your blind spots. You know, if when talking to a group, if I'm unaware that I'm speaking not just as a Muslim, speaking as an African American, speaking as a descendant of slaves, speaking as a man, I'm speaking as somebody reared in the inner city, I'm speaking as a father, as a grandfather, as somebody who was cultured in an environment and used to and trained and informed on how to deal with your own in his environment. I'm speaking from a position that should be respected, but also I should be aware of his biases. You know, if you migrated here, you're speaking from the position not just from the land in which you come, not just as an Arab, not just as an African, not just as a Pakistani, not just as a male or a female or a father or a grandfather. You're also speaking as a Muslim, and we're speaking as Muslims. And we have to ask ourselves every day which one informs and which one trumps our reality. Of course, ideally, Allah, he says in the Quran, O you who believe, submit to Allah wholeheartedly. He says, in other words, be a Muslim for real. Be in submission for real. But the reality is, as human beings, there are certain things that inform us. And sometimes we preference them over Islam. That's why Allah, he says of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, Ana Muslim, I am a Muslim. I'm the first of those who bow and submit, la sharika la, and I don't adhere to, I don't conform to shirk in any form, in any manner. I don't associate anything with God. But when we look at the society that we're living in, and when we are honest about who we are as individuals, we find all of those biases rearing their head. The most extreme form we're witnessing now when we're watching on these campuses and we're watching in Palestine and Israel, this level of oppression that you thought you wouldn't ever see before. It's based on positionality. Israelis, Zionists, have blinders on. And they can't see the humanity in the other. And it's one thing for us to just look at it and say, they got blinders on. But these are also teachable moments. It's an opportunity for us to look at ourselves and say, how often do I appear in certain environments with my blinders on? How often do I look at the brother next to me and say, he's not a true Muslim, he's not a real Muslim, he converted. How often do I look at the brother who migrated here and say, if he was serious, he wouldn't have left his country? How often do we judge the other because of the blinders, because of the positionality? So it's important for us first to recognize that they do exist. Allah, he gives us in the Quran a number of examples if we would just take from them. When he mentions our mother, Maryam, what did he say? But when she delivered her, she said, my Lord, I have delivered a female, and Allah was most knowing of what she delivered. وَلَيْسَ ذَكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. And the man is not like the woman. That there are differences, they are inherent It's okay to know that they exist, but don't allow them to be what informs and dictate how you operate on a day-to-day basis. First and foremost, we have to remember that we're Muslims. Allah, He also tells us in the Quran, Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin min dhakari wal untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu. He says, "O mankind, indeed we created you from different nations and tribes." It's all right. It's okay to be a part of a group and to acknowledge it and have a healthy appreciation for being Arab or Palestinian or Pakistani or African or African American. It's okay. The problem is when you preference that over Islam. You know, I have the good fortune often of going and speaking to the Metro graduating class, police, you know, and cadets who are going into corrections, officers. And the thing that we remind them often is about this. Be aware of your blinders. Be aware of the prejudice that exists in each and every one of us, and the ones that inform our reality and make it impossible for us to see the other. We're looking at the worst example of it right now. Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, he said once, he says, in order to confront the oppressor, the first thing we have to do is see the oppressor in you. Dr. King said it, he says, in order to confront him, he put 4 strategies for it. He says, first, I have to examine my own self and seek to purify my own self. And then I have to question and interrogate myself to exist in me. There would be no way that an Israeli oppressive regime could exist if there weren't oppressors among us. In Arab lands, in Muslim lands, in America, if we didn't have a bit of that in us, it's no way it would exist outside of us. We would eradicate it. We would expose it. It would be so quick for people to see, and it would be unacceptable. But we tolerate it when it's not us.